the bank of its commitment to ensure the stability of the financial system.
The change was the climax after hours of horse trading and corporate war over the appointment of a new managing director. The board of directors of First Bank had on Wednesday announced the appointment of Gbenga Shobo as its managing director, chief executive. The Senate yesterday approved 216.6 billion naira as 2021 budget for the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS. The Senate also approved the upward review of the revenue target of FIRS from 5.076 trillion naira last year to 7.61 trillion naira this year. These resolutions of the upper chamber followed its consideration of a report by the Senate Committee on Finance. Chairman of the committee, Senator Solomon Adiola, said FIRS targets total revenue collection of 7.61 trillion naira for the year as against 5.076 trillion naira budgeted last year, which represents about 49.90% increase above the corresponding year's budget. According to the lawmaker, out of the proposed total collection of 7.61 trillion naira, 5.645 trillion naira is expected from non-oil components, while 1.964 trillion naira is expected from oil components. He noted that the cost of collection to the service was pegged at 4% of non-oil revenue. Now, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has said that the federal government is to reconvene the Technology and Creativity Advisory Council on policies that would support the ecosystem for ICT startups in the country. Osinbajo said this at the Startup and Developer event organized by Google with the theme, The African Startup Ecosystem Opportunity, virtually monitored in Abuja. Represented by Mr. Kashifu Inuwa, Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, that's the NITDA, Osinbajo identified startups as tools for addressing the enormous challenges confronting Africa. He said the federal government was working with relevant stakeholders to ensure that startups received every support they required to take their ideas from inception to impact. He further said that through the work of the council, the federal government was also currently engaging with the African Development Bank, the AFDB, to set up a 500 million naira innovation fund. And the Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Raji Fashola, has decried the rate of excessive rent extortion in acquiring properties by landowners. The minister, speaking at the 9th meeting of the National Council for Lands, Housing and Urban Development on Thursday in Jos, said the situation got more prevalent during the current COVID-19 pandemic. The minister, represented by the Minister of State for Housing, Mr. Abubakar Aliyu, pointed out that excess demand for housing in urban areas is the cause of price hike and scarcity, impeding affordability and accessibility. He said acquiring and leasing properties can be made affordable and accessible through installment payments, saying a 10 million naira flat would probably be affordable and accessible if payment is spread over 5 to 10 years as against having to be paid at once. According to the minister, extortionist rates became worse during the COVID-19 pandemic, especially for those who lost their jobs and businesses, saying private companies and individuals were critical to addressing affordability. Governor Gboyega Oyetola of Osun State has called on the federal government to explore and exploit minerals that have international value. Oyetola made the call in Abuja at the 2021 annual public lecture organized by the Nigerian Society of Engineers, NSE, Buhari branch, in collaboration with the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. The event is themed Economic Diversification in the Post-COVID-19 Era, special focus on the sustainable development of Nigeria's coal and gold. Governor Oyetola, who was represented by Mr. Adeniran Bitoyi, Special Advisor to the Governor on Water Resources and Energy, said that alternative mineral resources were overtaking oil and competing for supremacy in the global market. He added that with such development, it was clear that nations seeking a viable place in the global economic scene must look away from oil and diversify their economies based on their comparative advantage. The Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, said its 3 newly accredited laboratories would boost the nation's manufacturing sector and increase its level of exports. Director General Malam Farouk Salim SON made the assertion at the unveiling of the laboratories in Lagos. Malam Salim said that the accreditation would also help reduce the rejection of Nigerian agricultural products at the international markets, since the products certified and tested in the accredited laboratory would receive global acceptance. Salim revealed plans to establish more laboratories in the country so as to ensure that goods can be tested nationwide. He enjoined stakeholders in the industry to contribute their quota in the quest to build more world-class laboratories in the country. It's time now to link up with Femi Ojo for some stock exchange reports.
A beautiful morning to you. Here is a summary of trading activities on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange for the 29th day in the month of April 2021. A bullish week for investors to close market for yesterday as the whole share index appreciated by 1.75% to close at 39,461.20 basis points. Over 270.6 million units of shares valued at over 2 billion naira was traded in 3,897 deals, and the equity capitalization at the close of trading summed up to over 20.651 trillion naira. A look at the top three gainers. We have Julius Baja topping the gainers, Park gaining 190 kobo to close at 20 naira 90 kobo. Fitzin gain 48 kobo to close at 5 naira 28 kobo, and Eco Cup gain 50 kobo to close at 5 naira 90 kobo. For the decliners, we have CWG topping the losers, Park losing 25 kobo to close at 2 naira 29 kobo. M Benefit lost 3 kobo to close at 37 kobo, and FPN Holdings lost 50 kobo to close at 6 naira 90 kobo. For the major players, we have FPN Holdings top on the Traders Park trading over 51.5 million units of shares. Transcorp traded over 42.4 million units of shares. EcoCorp traded over 20 million units of shares. Sovereigns traded over 18 million units of shares, and Access traded over 16.6 million units of shares. That was a summary of trading activity. That was a summary of trading activities on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange for yesterday, the 29th day in the month of April 2021. Join me on Monday when I bring you the summary of today's trading, the last day of trading for this week, and the total week wrap-up. I am Femi Ojo.
Thank you very much, Femi Ojo. That's it on Business Splash for today on Splash 105.5 FM, your integrity station. Don't forget to join us next week for another fantastic edition. Good morning. Thank you for listening. I'm Ronke Giwa Onafuwa.
Quick, charge at 240. Hot